Good evening, everyone. This is Recharging Chat. I am Sharon Kimberly Cravens here with Dr. LuAnn Morado.
Hello.
It is September 13th, 2023, and tonight we are talking about liver, the CellCore assisted liver flush. Why do you need to do them? How can they help you? Where does it fit in a protocol? All that good stuff. So before we get started, we're going to give you our caveat, which is our videos are intended to educate and inform you. We're not diagnosing, treating, curing any one particular situation or individual. And we're very pleased to have you here with us this evening. So, liver. Why are we talking about the liver? Dr. LuAnn?
Well, with more chemicals than ever before in our food, our air, and our water, your liver is working really hard to keep up with everything that's going on in our environment. It's a very important organ, and it has an overburden in today's society, and we see this quite often. So we're going to dive into it and discuss how we can make it better.
Great. So we have, we're going to share screen and do a slide show here. CellCore assisted liver flushes. And liver, why? Why do a flush? Is it even worth it to do a flush, right? People have heard time and time again, gallstone myths. There's so many of them. Do they even make sense? Are they legit? Where do these flushes even fit into a protocol? If you're doing a comprehensive or a foundational, where would you do them? And then Dr. LuAnn's going to go over some case studies. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, we're going to go through a couple of case studies with different people in different situations that just might be helpful for a lot of people out there who might have similar things going on with them or someone they know, and how a liver flush can assist in helping them.
And then there's two approaches to liver flushes. And those approaches are, there's a CellCore assisted, and then there's a more of a traditional one. Is that right?
Yeah, the traditional was popularized. It's a traditional liver flush. Most people know about that one, and we'll discuss it. But we're going to talk about the improved liver assisted flush using CellCore.
Fantastic. So the toxic overburden of the liver, that leads to these things. Most importantly, we're all humans. We all have to eat and drink water and breathe air. And as we know, all of these things that we have to literally take in these days are challenged. A lot of people that even eat food might not even be really legitimately taking in actual food. So this causes the liver to be severely overburdened, and just the air, food, and water can cause an increased cholestasis. And all that is that the bile has a hard time getting to the duodenum. So it's an issue of traveling. Also, there's a leaking of the blood and bile barrier. It can disrupt hormones. A lot of people don't realize that T4 is converted to T3 in the liver. So many people have, as we've all heard, we know someone that's had a thyroid issue or an estrogen issue, and this is largely ignored, honestly, in society, and it affects women disproportionately. Estrogen is caused by an overburdened liver, can really throw off the estrogen levels in the body. So that's a major situation. As far as the leaking, the overflowing, it has to travel somewhere. So it crosses through the barrier. And then of course we have the formation of congealed bile stones. So we're going to talk about the differences in mineral-based stones and the cholesterol-based stones, also fatty liver disease. I guess the population of United States Americans in 2022, 24% of Americans have non-alcoholic liver disease. That's a large percentage of Americans. 80% of women over 40 have toxic, sluggish bile. So that is most definitely an issue and an uphill battle, a real challenge for the body. And when this is the case for the liver, it creates a perfect environment for liver flukes to take hold and for other parasites to come on in. So this is really crucial for overall health. And also, when we consider the spirit of the liver, we're obviously, a lot of people know that the gallbladder and the liver work together and process anger. So there's a lot of emotions that can be released when you're doing a flush or a cleanse. And a lot of emotions stay in the body. They hang out in the organs and they're not going to go anywhere. And a lot of times when you can go through a flush and you allow the flow in, that is when the emotions will be freed up in the body. And that's extremely powerful and empowering to experience, because that stagnation, along with all these other things we're talking about, are so taxing on this very crucial organ. So we'll talk a little bit more about releasing old emotions later. But this is the overburden that we're facing with the liver. Next, we have the liver stones, the hidden stressors.
Yeah, so we have the intrahepatic stones. They're made in the liver, not in the gallbladder, and they obstruct 50,000 bile ducts in the liver. So they're very delicate. Some of these bile ducts are only 2 to 5 millimeters long, which is, it's like smaller than the tip of your fingernail in length. And as the stuff is going through here, these stones, they don't have to be in the gallbladder to be gallstones. Gall just means that it's bile, right? So if bile drops because they came into contact with some kind of toxin, like an air freshener or chemical or some kind of weird food packaging that you actually ate and got into your system, the liver bile that's suspended with this delicate chemistry just drops out of liquid form and into a sticky, viscous form. And that builds up very quickly. So we get this congested bile that interferes with the digestion of the fats and the fat soluble vitamins. And many people with diagnosis of the fatty liver disease, they don't realize that they have gallstones. And when you have this stuff that's breaking down, and we need the bile flowing to help break down our food. But when you have these issues, it interfaces and it interferes with the limit of weight, the limit of waste in the blood and our detoxification. So if there's nowhere for that to detoxify to, then the bile has to go somewhere, and it's just leaves us with dirty blood, and you know that dirty blood attracts many parasites. So there's a connection between all of this, and we see in when we look at plain radiography, it's really limited in our ability to see the gallstones. When you see one show up on a film, they're usually the ones that are very dense. And sometimes you might have a couple that show up in radiographic imaging. And when you see that, there's a chance you have a lot more. And the ones that you see are cholesterol based. So what happens is sometimes we see dilation in the bile duct on some of these imaging, but we don't really see anything in it. We just see, they just show some dilation in the bile ducts. We know it's caused by the stones, even though the stones are not dense enough to be seen. So a lot of times there'll be a diagnosis of, well, we really don't know what's wrong with you. We see that there's something in there, we don't know what it is. We know what it is. We know that we know a lot of this cannot be picked up by the radiographic imaging. And we know that if you do pick one up, there's a lot more in there.
Yeah. Yeah. And we have some incredible photos a little later for you to share with you of just how many stones can be hanging out and not detected in this manner. There's a lot of myths with gallstones too. Stones are only present if you can see them on imaging. So to Dr. LuAnn's point, many stones are not revealed through the use of radiography. They're largely cholesterol based, and therefore they are less easily detected. So they're made of a different material. The next myth is you need surgery to remove these gallstones. No, you do not. You need TUDCA and you need to do a liver flush. It's that simple. The next one is myths. Stones are only located in the gallbladder. Like Dr. LuAnn just said, stones are not confined to the gallbladder. They are commonly present in the actual liver. So the last one, flushes do not actually release pre-existing stones from the liver. This is not true. Most of the clients with CellCore have hundreds, if not thousands, of stones. It's crazy, but they all fit in there. So on CellCore products, before they ever have them do a deep flush with additional elements, these things actually come out. And then gallstones commonly contain layers of material, including parasites. So it's not just the actual stone itself. Pretty crazy.
The benefits of releasing liver stones and sluggish bile. So what you're looking at in this picture is a patient who actually caught and strained gallstones, but these are broken up because they added in stone breaker, which is something that you could pick up. You can get it off Amazon. I don't like to promote that, but it's when you're getting ready to release gallstones or do a liver cleanse, a lot of times people like to add this in, but this is broken up material that you see here. And when you have this stuff come out, you have improved digestion and elimination. You have relief from symptoms related to sluggish drainage, like headaches and joint pain and skin rashes. You have increased energy, improved immune function. It's much easier to clear parasites, and you have increased emotional well-being, improved mental clarity, and it also helps with supporting your hormone balancing, because a lot of the hormones are tied into liver. Everything is all tied in together. So when you look at this stuff, you think, wow, okay, this stuff is actually coming out of me. You want to just continue and do more.
Yeah, it's extremely motivating. That looks like trail mix. And imagine that just grinding through your liver and your gallbladder. It's like Gollum in the gears, big time. It's alarming. So we have some case studies and we've got some interesting photos here. What is going on next to this dime, Dr. Lulu?
So that dime you see there and that little gallstone next to it is from a 61-year-old woman. And she had extreme anxiety, and she was not able to function, really. She had bad psoriasis, and she just was feeling anger, She wasn't really sure why. And she would, when something would set her off, she would get angry, and then she would transition into overwhelm and then into bad anxiety. So she started working with CellCore, and then she started doing some liver flushes and got some of these out, and her whole, she changed her whole, she wouldn't get anger, she wouldn't hit that anger, she wouldn't hit that overwhelm feeling, all the anxiety went away, because she had to remove a lot of the emotions that were driving her, but it was all because of this backed up stagnation in her liver.
Mm.
And then to the right next to it, looks like a little furry ball of something. This is actually a gentleman who, he was seeing a practitioner after he did a lot of work on himself. He did a 40-day juice fast until there was like nothing left. He was doing extreme protocols to empty out his colon. And he came into a practitioner, and they were like, okay, there's more stuff going on, because he still had a lot of his symptoms. And so after he started working with some CellCore products and then doing a liver flush, he got 15 of these critters that you see here out in one flush. And this guy was so like skinny and skeletal looking because he did that juice fast for so long, and he was just draining his body. And that they actually, where his liver was, it looked like it was indented, like a bumper that got hit by another car. It had like an indent in there right over his liver. But after he did this flush and he got these 15 stones out, for the first time he was able to take a deep breath.
Wow.
First time from as far back as he could remember. So, but if you think about like the liver and the lungs and where they sit and how our systems are all intertwined, his poor liver was pushing up into his lungs, and it gave him so much anxiety. But yeah, after this, everything calmed down.
That's so crazy. It looks like a little Furby, like it's a little fur
It
baby.
does.
And there's 15 of those, you said?
Yeah.
My
Mhm.
Crazy. Traditional liver flush. So we may have all heard about how to do that. There's minimal preparation from a drainage standpoint. Your body's not really prepared to release at all. You're doing apple juice, which is way too much sugar. You drink Epsom salts, which is always a joy. That relaxes the bile ducts and makes you have diarrhea. You don't have any support for your mitochondria to power through this. And then there's no binders to clean up any of the toxins and help with any nausea you might be feeling and experiencing from stirring up what's going on inside. So it's really kind of a disaster. And if anyone's ever done one, you don't feel that great. I tried one time and I was like, this is for the birds. It was not for me. But now you understand why. Why is it so important to have drainage, mitochondrial support, binders? It makes perfect sense. A CellCore liver flush elements.
Yeah, that, think about when you're using the apple juice in there, and if you have these issues and parasites, and you're just increasing that sugar load, you're just feeding them. Right. So with the CellCore liver flush elements, we use a lot of drainage preparation. So the KL support, the Lymphactive, the advanced Tutka, bowel mover. A lot of times we'll do a 4-4-4, meaning we were using these in really high dosage to really push drainage and get all the drainage pathways open before we even start doing the flush. We use Estro, which is a product that we have that balances hormones in men and women. And in this, we reverse the estrogen dominance, and that helps to stop new stones from forming. As we spoke about before, the liver being very related to anger and emotions, we have ME support. Also, a new product that's coming out would be which is a drainage support. This assists in the emotional stagnation release, because we know that there's a lot of different ways that things get blocked in the liver. Then we have the advanced TUDCA to build the bile and encourage more bile flow. Our advanced TUDCA, I cannot say enough about that product. And then we have the mitochondria support, which is the BCATP, the CT minerals, and hydroxygen plus, which we are waiting for a new product of that to come back out. But with our binders, we really reduce the symptoms a lot, and we get to increase the benefits because of when you're doing a liver flush, everything's flushing out. And people, in the old way of doing liver flushes, people would get nauseous. They wouldn't feel good. But with these binders, they're going in there and they're mopping up all the toxins that are being released. So you feel so much better when you're using these, and you're also adding energy to the system as you're working so hard to relieve yourself. You're getting rid of emotions, which requires a lot of energy. You're getting rid of all these toxins, and parasites are coming out. So it requires a lot of cellular energy. So all these products for support in that help tremendously.
Mm.
Oh, and we also, I want to add one more thing to this. When there are things you can also add in addition to just the products, like before you do it, setting an intention, which is really important to set the stage for what you're going to be doing, and tapping and creating a mantra, allowing yourself to know that it's safe to release, because that is going to help so much in emotionally handling the release, because the release can come from any different type of emotion from any stage in your life that you might not even know what emotion is going to come out with that. So the brain tap is very useful in that, and anything that's going to support your vagus nerve, because you want your body to be more in a calm, receptive state. So vagal tone is very important to that.
Yeah, and I was going to say that woman, the case study you mentioned earlier, where the woman's emotions were literally governed by something that was, blocking the flow of her bile or her liver. And then once she had that removed, the empowerment of the after effects of just having that blockage gone is really, there's a reclamation of your emotional state that I think most people wouldn't really make that connection to. So that's incredibly important. So like you said, having that intention, but being open to maybe other things occurring like that are far more nuanced, or that you might not even make the connection to a blockage in your life literally being part of something that's blocked in your physical form. So energetic, right? Like energetic blockages clearing. It's really powerful.
Yeah, because the people are going on a journey. They're transitioning as they go through this process. So you're going from, in that stagnant state, you're a less powerful, you're in a more of a powerless state, and you're going into that powerful state. And that's really the liver flush, is that transition. And anger is sometimes, it's a useful tool, because like you said before, it's stored in the liver, right? And we know that the bitterness and resentment is stored more in the gallbladder, So how we choose to deal with these different emotions and deal with what's going on in the world around us, we want to transition into more powerful states. And we want to be in that state of happiness and joy and love and light. But in order to get there and free ourselves, we have to deal with these underlying emotions, and we have to embrace the power of the liver and just wake up into that transition state and just release release all of that stagnation and go from that state of like fear, frustration, anxiety, overwhelm, all those emotions that come up, and move into that state of I am powerful, I am healthy, I can take care of myself. And you start to deal with all these emotions, and they're not just stored in the liver. We know they're stored in a lot of areas in the body and in our fascia and in our intercellular matrix. But as we go through this, we need to prepare ourselves, because the stagnation falls over into other areas of our life, and we could hit a wall in not just physical, but in things that we're doing in our life, right? In relationships, in our work, in our everyday. And a lot of what's been going on in the past couple of years, the stagnation where we were forced to just sit idle, stop, shoving everything down. So dealing with all of that and clearing out those emotions, so important. And the liver flush is such a great tool to do that with.
Yeah. Let's get back to this case study. So there's a gentleman here who has severe, my gosh, some mold, good times, and there's a candida situation. So obviously you can speak more to this, Dr. Lu, but he's got this quote managed with steroids. He had 5-year exposure to mold and a couple of fillings. He was in construction, and he also grew up on commercial farmland. So you wonder what he was exposed to from a young age, because the toxic load, unless you help things leave the body, will stack up over time. He also did some heavy drug use in his younger teenage years and early 20s. So we look at the state of the inside of his arms, that just looks extremely painful.
Yeah, so in the construction business, he was actually a CEO. He was way up on the ladder, and he couldn't work. And he went the route of, as you said, the steroid management. They went after things. They were trying to kill it, knock it out, whatever it is. We're not sure, but we're going to try to use all these different types of drugs to stop whatever's happening in your body. But what happened in his life is he wound up, becoming a CEO of the company. And what we found out was, in his early teens and this heavy drug use, he was a drug dealer. And with his change in his career, he wound up getting married. He had a family going, and the structure of his life changed. And when that happened, he was able to look around him and say, when he was finally stable enough, and let all those old emotions and all those exposures that he had started to express through, as you see here, through his skin. But he totally crashed, and he would sit in his car and he would rage, and his kids didn't want to touch him or anything. And what we did was they brought him through again with the 4x4x4. They did a lot of foot baths and coffee enemas and a little bit of red light on him, and carnivore diet worked for this individual. And he dealt with a lot of that old anger and a lot of those old emotions that came up, and managed to clear and clean a lot of these old toxins out of his body. But the liver flush helped him to really to push through and deal with all the emotions that was stagnant inside of him.
Here's some more images of where he was really affected on his body. And when you say 4x4x4, you're talking about 4 TUDCA, 4 Lymphactive, 4 KL support. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah, doing 4 of each of that and doing it 2 to 3 times a day, really depending on when you're working with your practitioner, what they see fit for you. So you're really pushing the all the drainage channels open before you go and dive into doing the liver, draining the liver like that, or even doing, sometimes we do that and we'll do these major, big, huge full moon cleanses where we go in with the full moon protocol, but we do the 4x4x4 to open up all the pathways, to prepare the body to relieve all of this stuff and let it out.
Yeah, it's just amazing because you can see like just the before and then the after. It looks red, it looks angry, it looks just kind of raised and sort of volatile. And then the after, it just looks way cooled down. So that's pretty remarkable. Move on to the next case study. We got mold and Lyme co-infections. Good time. What do we have here?
So this 42-year-old male, he, again, you see 7 years of antifungal prescriptions, IVs, and all this before CellCore. Again, he had the hunt and kill, which are what a lot of practitioners will do. And, they go in and that really starts to deplete the system. It breaks the immune system down even further. Before he did CellCore, this guy was afraid to eat meat. Because of, his liver was so angry, he wasn't sure what was happening, but because he had very low tolerance to fats and meats, and foods and vegetables with oxalates would just drive him off the charts of, like, he would have bad reactions. We had to be really cautious about anything that was going to, throw him into any kind of histamine reactions with food. But what we did with him is we really looked at his environment, his EMF exposure. He had a lot of different types of rectal enemas and a lot of delivery of the CellCore rectally to get it into his body because of the way he would react to everything, because he had so much of this mold and Lyme and co-infections where his immune system was just so shot. He even had magnesium to help to get things relaxed and help his bile and liver ducts to just dilate. After time, after his first flush, he was excited because he had 60 small stones, which was, very exciting. But we know when you have stones, you have toxins. When you have toxins, you have parasites. So he was starting to remove. His second flush, he had 100 stones. His third flush, 180 stones. So he was so afraid to eat meat, but they gradually started having more meat in his diet. He started eating a little bit of lamb, like a bite a day, and gradually building it back up, because it's so important that we have clean, grass-fed, as clean as you can, organic meat in our diet, because our liver needs it. It just needs that to thrive. And so he was brought to the point where he could start tolerating the meat. And as we started tweaking his diet, and he was able to do a lot more. So as he got stronger, and then he started getting better. Everything started clearing up. his immune system started rebuilding itself. The mold, the Lyme, the co-infections, as we see, as you go through the comprehensive protocol, things just start to clear out.
Can you identify what is the image of? It looks like there's like green goo inside. Like what is it, just various stones?
Oh, he started this is a picture of some of his stones. He started breaking it apart and you can see parasites inside some of his stones.
Okay.
And that's what you see there. So I couldn't see it because the screen was covered with our pictures, but yeah, that's what you see there.
All right, so the next is a 63-year-old female. She has no gallbladder and she's got fibromyalgia. So she's got some anxiety, she's exhausted, major body pains, depressed, and here's some liver stones that she's got before her first actual flush. So you want to talk a little bit about her?
Yeah. So this woman was actually a nurse, and she would work, she ran an entire wing at the hospital, and she was volunteered, she was super helpful, and she started having pains in her stomach. And what they did was they went in and they removed her gallbladder. And so after her bladder removal, her life just changed. She felt like she couldn't work. She got very anxious. She had the fibromyalgia started coming out, the fatigue, fibromyalgia, intense body pain. Things started getting just intolerable. It was to the point where she actually had a grandbaby and she wouldn't go in the room with her grandson because it would make her so anxious. She would want to pick the baby up, but her arms had no strength and she was in so much pain. She was just, she couldn't bear to be in that situation. So her life was pretty much falling apart after they removed her gallbladder. Coming from the nurse's background, she thought, well, I got my gallbladder out. How can I have gallstones? How come I'm still feeling this pain? And so she hooked up with a CellCore practitioner, and she started going down the education path of all the toxins that she's been exposed to, all of the different, she drank Diet Coke for her career basically. And she started having a lot of the parasites come out of her body while starting on CellCore. And what happened is they were like, okay, we're going to do some liver flush series, but she still couldn't wrap her head around, how am I going to have gallstones come out? I don't have a gallbladder, just nurse mentality. She was having lots and lots of parasites come out, lots of toilet bowls filled with spaghetti looking parasites that we've all seen. And after she did this gallbladder flush, this liver flush, all of her body started calming down. After this liver flush, she had a lot of liver gallstones come out, and a lot of stuff like liver flukes, because we know that when there's parasites and liver flukes and gallstones and toxins, they all merge together, and the liver really likes to have a lot of liver flukes in there. So after she started removing these with the liver detox, with the liver flush, she still had a few parasites after when she would do the full moons, but everything started to calm down, and the parasites started to calm down, because instead of having toilet bowls full, the toxins were able to be relieved, so they weren't there feeding on all the toxic waste that was sitting in her system. And so she did again lots of the 4x4x4 before she did the liver flush. But again, it takes time for these stones to actually come down and leave the body. So this isn't something that you do once and you're gonna clear this stuff out. It takes time to go down through all the liver ducts, like we talked about before, how many there actually are. So after this happened to her, she finally broke through with her parasite situation, and she started having adult ropeworms come out, which really helped a lot of the different symptoms that she was having to just calm down. And you remember, like, the body wants to, our body works in waves, and we have to go slow, and our body gears up. It does a lot of work, and then it needs time to calm down. And then it gears up, it does a lot of work, it'll have a lot of things release, and then we feel things calm down. And we see, like, well, why do these things come in waves? Like, I was doing really great, and now I'm not doing so great. It's because the body has to go, it's the way that it works. It brings energy back up, and then another release will come. So again, doing these over an extended period of time is really the smart way to do it. But yeah, after she did this, she was back to painting and gardening and lifting her grandson, and all of these emotions were released. And her life changed. Everything for the better.
Yeah, that's huge. And so important. And instead of just, let's just, remove your organ and then you'll be fine, right? Great idea. Yay. No, that didn't solve the issue. Actually, things got a lot worse for her. And then they got a lot better. So thank heavens for that. Okay, we have some graphic slides ahead. So avert your eyes if you don't want to see. Here we have the next case study. So 31-year-old female with SIBO. And was it a diagnosed case of ropeworm, or is this just what came out of her?
Yeah, this is what came out of her. So this woman, she was very extremely, as her husband described her, anxious, angry, resentful, controlling. These emotions that she did not always have. She was not like this when they were young, when they got married. But with this case, the husband was he understood all that was going on. So she had the support at home, and he gave her all the room to have her emotions and to feel safe, so she could work through a lot of what she didn't really understand what was happening to her. She had severe digestive issues, skin rashes. Her body would just flush and get heated up and red and then calm down. And her emotions all over the chart, and everything had to be just a certain way. And she had a persistent ropeworm, and she had golf ball size stones coming out of her when she went through this. And what happened to her, now this is, again, 5 flushes in 8 months, so an extended period of time. But on her second flush, she had to face a bunch of anger that came up that she didn't know where it was coming from. And what came up for her was that this was anger that she had with her mom, that when she was 15 years old, they knew it was anger from her being in a young state, but she had all of this rage from the relationship that she had with her mother, because her mom was making a lot of different life choices that didn't make her feel safe. She didn't like the choices, and she stored and harbored all of that in her liver till she was an adult. So as she started going through and doing these and flushing and clearing and getting through all the anger, she was able to come to terms with it. She worked it out. She talked with her mom. They worked through a lot of these issues. And what happened was she rebuilt the relationship with her mom. And the way that God would have it, 6 weeks later, her stepfather died. And young woman was able to be there for her mom and was able to support her as she went through all of the stuff that she went through, because she dealt with these underlying stagnation from the toxins and the traumas and the emotions and the parasites. So another happy ending and another thing related to emotion.
Yeah, that's really beautiful as far as that full circle. Wow. So, how gross is this?
Yeah,
Here's some
right.
stones, everyone. Wow. All kinds of different colors.
Just some fun photos of different stones in your gallbladder.
So, point of reference here, is that the actual
Yeah,
gallbladder
it's like
holding the
it's
stones
sliced open and you're looking at pockets of stones.
in an actual stone or in a gallbladder?
Gallbladder.
Okay, so this is a gallbladder that's been removed.
Yeah,
And
and this is
then we have
yeah,
all the different
yeah,
kinds of stones. So this doesn't look like hundreds, this looks like thousands easily. And these look very large, different colors, different textures, smooth and shiny, rocky almost. This is like black and seed-like kind of. They look all extremely painful. Good times. So treatment.
but
Go ahead.
yeah. So yeah, they come in all different shapes, sizes, colors, as you can see from that picture. So a lot of times when you have pain in the liver and the gallbladder, it's not only due to sluggish bile stones, it's due to, we have a lot of discomfort that comes when we have flukes. We have a lot of these different types of scenarios when we have parasites, and we see a lot of emotions go up and down. We see a lot of body pain come up and down. And before we do any type of work, we make sure that we bring people through at least the first couple of months of the comprehensive protocol before we dive into any of this. And we know we don't bring para 3 in until they are moving into phase 3 or doing a full moon.
And the trematode itself, that word is just a liver fluke, right?
Yeah.
That's what that means. So, and we've done other videos on different kinds of parasites in the body, and the liver fluke can live in the liver for upwards of, they say, 40 years. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah,
That's correct.
they can hang out in your body for a very long time. So para 3 is your friend. So question is, when's it the right time to use the liver flushes? When is it good to layer it in? Once you've gotten past phase 1 and 2, if you're doing the comprehensive, you're going to do it deeper in the protocol, right? Because your body's prepared. You've got your drainage pathways are open, and you're cooking along, and things are getting into the, digging into, like getting to the phase 3, where you're really getting into the deeper gut and immune aspects of the cleanse. When stuck emotions need an assist, when you've got anger, anxiety, and resentment, when you're feeling like you're just hitting a wall, or you're having trouble with feeling overwhelmed, when you've hit a plateau and you're ready to just get to the next level and you're ready to just push through. Also, when the parasites are not giving up, when they are persisting, when they're just relentless, and you're just like, what WTF? How do I move past this? How do we up level? And also when additional drainage support is indicated to support your liver and your lymph, that's when you want to layer in a flush. Do you want to add anything else, Dr. Lulu? The proof is in the
No, the proof is in the toilet. So why don't we go ahead and discuss how to do one of these?
Yes. We have a liver flush schedule. And the first one is, let me close this.
And always make sure you're working with a practitioner or somebody who can support you as you're going through this.
Yes, because doing it on your own is not as much fun. Sorry, I have all these things open. You want to start off 8 a.m.? It's okay to do a coffee enema first, right? Right, Lulu?
Oh, yeah, but after, it is okay to do coffee enema first, but you have to be prepared, like you said. So when you take your advanced TUTCA, your Lymphactive, your KLSL support up to 4 capsules, this is what we talked about before, the 4-4-4. The BCATP is going to load you up with a good amount that you can tolerate, depending on what you're doing in your regular protocol. Some people take 4 in the morning when they wake up. Some people take 6, or you can spread it out, but you can take up to 8 a day. So you might want to spread this out through the day. The CT minerals, you want to high dose this too. You can put it in water, and you can also put it right over your liver, because it's going to go right through your skin. And binders, biotoxin binder, Virad Chem binder, or HMET binder, even carboxy, which we don't have listed here, but it's very good to use as a binder to use during this. So you can pick 2, whatever is consistent with the stages for whatever protocol you're doing, and your health issues, what's going on with you. You're going to stop drinking all your liquids for 2 hours, and you're not going to eat on this day, and you won't feel hungry because you're going to be having some good drinks. At 9 a.m., you're going to apply castor oil packs to your liver, and then you're going to just relax and wait. You can also put a hot water bottle on the castor oil pack, which is nice and relaxing. And you're going to just make yourself very comfortable in your home. And then at 10 a.m., after all of this has gotten into your system, you're preparing your liver with the castor oil pack and the hot water bottle, you're nice and relaxed. Now you're going to start your flush. So you're going to get 8 ounces of high quality organic cold pressed olive oil and 8 ounces of citrus, ideally fresh squeezed grapefruit juice and lemon. And you're going to put these in 2 different cups, and you're going to drink the olive oil. You're going to sip that one, and then you're going to alternate, and you're going to sip your juice. Then you're going to pause. Then you're going to sip one, and then you're going to pause and sip the other one. Nice and slow, taking your time.
And it sounds like a good hit. Like you get that oiliness and the butteriness, and then you get the acid. So it's like a good flow of those to the palate, right? So you're not inundated.
Yeah, and this is why you won't be hungry either.
Exactly. So then we have later in the day, after you've done that, we have, oh, I can't see the top part. Can you read the top part? Drink slowly. I got it. This will take you, it will take you about 15 minutes to do that. And when you feel like you're finished, you're done. You don't have to push it, right? And then about, 15 minutes later, you're going to lay down on your right side for at least an hour. You can sleep if you need to, but your liver, our friend, is underneath the right rib cage here. It's tucked up underneath. So you're going to lay on the right, and you're going to just allow that organ to just be filtered with all that goodness, what you just drank. And then an hour later is what they call the waiting period. You can go take a nap, or you can do a coffee enema, or you can do both. The first stones are commonly seen about 7 to 15 hours after you drink the oil, sometimes not until the next day. It just depends on what's going on with your system. But ideally, you want to relax and conserve your energy all day. You're really not supposed to do much of anything. So people that have done this in the past, if they have children, they get someone to watch their kids. Give yourself the time to really invest and do this properly for yourself. We're so busy habitually that this is actually, you can look at it as like a getaway to really allow yourself the time and the energy to do it correctly. So some people go and get a hotel room. They just make an Airbnb stay somewhere and do a liver flush. So why not make it more luxurious for yourself if that doesn't sound too out of the ordinary? So in the afternoon after that to the evening time, if you feel like you need more energy support, you can take CT minerals and BCATP. If you feel like something is moving through your gut and needs help, you can take additional bowel mover. You can take TUDCA, Kale Support, and Lymphactive with your binders, or you can do additional coffee enemas. But ideally, you want to rest. You want to cultivate a healing state. You could use essential oils. You can watch things that aren't going to stress you out, read books, have your favorite music, and of course, different light vagus nerve exercises. So what's an example of a vagus nerve exercise, LuAnn, if people don't know?
Gargle. You can just gargle. Tread back, gargle. It's going to relax the vagus nerve. Push your tongue to the roof of your mouth. You can gently just lightly massage down here in front of your ear, down. It's going to relax the vagal tone. Even moving your eyes up to the right, up to the left, up to the right, up to the left, that's going to calm the vagus nerve down. I support brain tap, of course, putting on a brain tap, and there's a vagal breathing technique that's very good to do. You don't need the brain tap to do it, but you're going to take long 5 breath inhalation in through your nose for the count of 5. You're going to hold it for the count of 6, and then you're going to exhale for the count of 7. And that's a nice slow count. It's not a rush. And the deeper you inhale that first 5 breath count in through your nose, the more expansion you're going to get, the more relaxation you're going to get. So that's a nice vagal tone breathing technique to do.
And there's a question about our hormone imbalances because of parasites.
Hormone imbalances are related to parasites. We have discussed this back in some other videos that we did, but a lot of times you have pancreas, you have estrogen issues, you have the toxins build up in the system. The parasites are going to come in, and they're going to affect the way that the immune system functions in the body, which is also going to affect your adrenals, your thyroid, your pituitary, all of your different organs that create hormones are going to be affected. Your pancreas, your sphincter of Oddi, which is in the pancreas, is going to be affected. So estrogen is going to be affected. So yes, long answer short, hormones are affected by parasites.
Yes, and we have other videos about that. You can find those on YouTube and look at SK Cravens. So yes, this detoxes traumas for sure. A liver flush, like we said earlier, it's directly affecting the stagnation in your liver, which a lot of anger can be held in the liver. And the spirit of the liver and the gallbladder is, in 5-element acupuncture theory anyways, it's wood. So wood is that rising energy that helps you push through and move forward and get things done and let's go. The gallbladder is the general, and it's directing to the liver what to do, how to carry out the task. Without a clear vision, you can't get anything accomplished. So if you remove that gallbladder, the liver has to work extra hard in its 400 plus functions to decide what to do. And it's a lot on the system. We just flippantly say, oh, I had it taken out. It's like, okay, but what's that effect on your liver? It's already got other things, up to here to do. now it's an added stressor. So I just wanted to put that in before we sign off. So if anyone has any questions, we can take those offline. We want to say thank you so much for being here. We appreciate each and every one of you. We ask that you stay blessed and well and healthy. And if you want to do a liver flush, we're behind you 100%. We'll have another call in 2 weeks' time on September 27th. And I think that's it for now.
Good night.